Doesn't matter. We're all fucked anyway.
Hello again to another exciting or not so exciting episode of Nothing to Play. Today is Tuesday the 9th, so we've had the historic news that Trump is going to be the next president.
And we are now doomed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't want to get too political because it's really nothing to do with me. But you know, maybe he will fool us all by actually being pretty good at what he does. Although that seems massively unlikely.
Maybe. To be honest, I don't really care. Hillary's not that much better anyway.
No, she was definitely the lesser of two evils. But
yeah.
Oh Christ, I don't know. I kind of feel a bit sort of cut off from it because we don't live in America. Maybe that's the wrong opinion to have. Because
they have a lot of influential power over the world, don't they?
I suppose that's it. It does sort of affect us all, but we're here to talk about games and not Trump. So, what's been happening? Is there anything sort of exciting you've spotted this week?
Well, last week Steve announced that they are not going to allow certain images on their page. You can only have actual screenshots from the actual finished game, which is actually a pretty damn good idea.
Yeah, I mean you could fill all the pages with concept art, which is amazing, and the game is actually pretty terrible looking. I think this was to do with No Man's Sky, wasn't it?
Well, part of it, I guess.
I think No Man's Sky was a pretty deciding factor, and there's been quite a lot about No Man's Sky actually. Sony said that they're still working on it, and they had a very ambitious vision, and they're still trying to make that happen. And you sort of think, well, why on earth didn't you just make it like an early access or a beta or a 20 quid game to get the hype and the funding and buy you some more time, and then actually make the game you wanted to make? But those choices were not mine to make.
It's probably just pressure of getting it out there, really.
Oh yeah, I think there'd been delays after delays at this stage, and they needed to get it out, and there was the psychos sending death threats to the people that made it and the people that reported that there were delays. So it was probably best them just to be like, you know what, just anyone just have it, just get it out of the way.
What was quite good about Valve doing this, they even owned up to themselves, saying, well, we've done this in the past, we've done it wrong, we're rectifying ours now, everyone's going to have to follow suit from now on. So it just gives, when you actually go to buy the game, you actually get to see what you're actually getting instead of just some realised vision that isn't the case. Yeah,
I think that is important for buyers. Definitely, you want to know that what you're buying is sort of like represented fairly. There's no well, it always goes back to the old sort of Spectrum days, doesn't it? Because the tape cases looked amazing, and the games were just sort of really low res bytes of characters that looked bloody dreadful.
I always thought it was amusing back then, where you'd have cases and they'll be showing Atari ST pictures on the Commodore and vice versa, whichever one looked better.
Oh yeah, they always have screenshots of the Commodore 64 version, and you guaranteed the Spectrum was going to be like 2 colours. So yeah, that's probably a good thing for Steam. I mean, the other big news is it was N7 Day recently, oddly enough, on November 7th, which is now officially, I think, Mass Effect Day.
Great marketing ploy that is.
It might as well be put into the calendars. It's insane. I think they did it 1 year, and now every year people just sort of expect it.
Yeah.
So I guess that it's pretty obvious that all the news is going to be of the new Andromeda game, which is coming sort of first quarter next year?
It said spring, so say between March and May, I guess.
Yeah, and that looks it looks particularly good. We had some really early kind of I guess gameplay footage leaked. I think it was probably one of these debug test environments where you had a guy in what looked very much like N7 Shepherd armor, but he had a jetpack and he was sort of jumping from ground level to roof of buildings. That was really early, and people were like, "Yeah, jetpacks in the next Mass Effect," and EA were typically just saying, "No, I don't know what you're talking about. It's nothing." And then, of course, that was announced.
Yeah, so, in the announcement they said that you with the jetpack you can actually hover, so you can actually shoot people going into cover, and you can give commands whilst in that position.
It's all a little bit like Boba Fett. I think he had a hovering. His jetpack was sort of hovering, wasn't it? It wasn't just like a jump pack. It was actually a proper jetpack. And they've mentioned things like swords and hammers, but are these going to be like equipable objects, or is it going to be like the extension of the multi-tool from 3, which had like you could make it a blade and stab people with it?
I imagine it'd be like the multi-tool.
I don't know. I want to imagine there'll be proper like I don't know, space swords. Is that I guess lighter?
I'm down with space swords.
Yeah, Star Wars had their lightsabers, and I guess any civilization or group of people that want to either hurt each other or other people are first going to say, "Hey, look, heavy metal. We can sharpen this. Let's stab people with it." So we might get proper space swords. We might get omnitors. I would prefer space swords. I like the idea of running around with a big ass hammer. And there's quite a lot of stuff announced actually. So
there is a hell of a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want to spend all day on it, but I kind of know we should really sort of rattle through some of this stuff. So it's set. I heard that it was set just after, or the start certainly was just after Mass Effect 2, and they set off on this huge 600-year voyage after Mass Effect 2, and then anything from like Mass Effect 3 doesn't really affect them.
Well, they've been in stasis, and all the whole war and everything that happened throughout 2 and 3, they have no idea what went on. Yeah,
I think EA people sort of said, well, you know, there's three endings to Mass Effect 3, and my one, I picked the one where I tried to get everyone to live as happily as possible. So sort of the humans and the machines all sort of merged together, and people were saying, well, what are we just going to have like a game of like alien robots sort of trouncing around? And EA said no, that shut down the mass relays as well, so they didn't get past, and they're too far away to be affected, so actually nothing to do. You know, they were just like, crap, how can we get out of this one?
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess the endings from Mass Effect 3, which were all sort of uniformly terrible, are not going to affect this game too much, which is probably good, to be fair. So we've got 2 races that are definitely confirmed. We've got the Krogan.
I'm glad about that. I love the Krogans.
I love the Krogans. Yeah, the Krogan. People are like, oh, those crocodile lizard things. I always thought they looked a bit like turtles because they had like quite a thick shell on the top and then a really pointy face.
One of my favourite moments from Mass Effect was, did you get the Citadel DLC for 3?
I didn't buy any DLC for any of the Mass Effects, and I know some of it was really good.
I enjoyed them all, but the Citadel was really, really, really good. There was you have a party because it's set before you go off to your last mission, so you kind of like saying bye to everybody, and I forgot his name now. It's not
Shepard.
No, not Shepard. The Krogan, the young Krogan. Yeah. What's his name? Is it Rex?
Rex. Not
or is that the original one? I can't remember now. Anyway, the Krogan that you're with in 3, he gets absolutely hammered, and then in the morning you find him in the shower, just with water splashing down him, and he's like, "Hey, Shepard, good night last night." It was absolutely brilliant.
Now that it's all backwards compatible, probably because of N7 Day, I have just started playing Mass Effect 3, and I've not got that far yet. I've just met Liara. Is it Liara?
Yeah.
The blue woman.
Yeah.
On Mars, and they're a returning character race as well, whatever they are. I can't for the life of me remember their race. Asari, there we go. So the Asari are back, and the Krogan are back, and I am really hoping that the Quarians make a return, because I really liked the Quarians. They were the real underdogs, bless them.
They were really cool.
Yeah, and I liked the whole thing with the space masks, and you had to be sealed in this suit basically all of your life because you were really susceptible to disease, and he's just like, oh, you poor bastards.
Well, in my playthrough, I am the cause of why their entire species dies, and then Tally couldn't cope, so she committed suicide, and I was absolutely devastated.
Yeah, I was playing through, and the first time I played through, I killed all the Geth and kept all the Quarians alive, and I thought, I have to change this for the next one, so I did things differently, and the Quarians survived. The Geth survived, but the Quarians died, and I thought, no, I'm reloading. And once again, the Geth died and the Quarian survived, so I was all right with that. But I did quite like the little Geth soldier. He was quite cool.
He was cool.
So what else was announced? So you will have I believe you sort of like live in this big capital ship with all the other humans. There must be a lot of humans.
Yeah, that ship. It looks like the Citadel mixed with a mass relay.
Yeah, it looked pretty big, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then there's like a ship that takes you to the planet's surface, which is definitely not the Normandy, but it's probably going to be called something like the Versailles, or. And then you get a new Mako as well, which is customizable. So I'm hoping it's not just paint jobs. I'm hoping you can stick like a massive cannon on it, or big tank tracks, or maybe like some weird hovercraft thing. There was hover tanks in Mass Effect 3, wasn't there? I'm sure there was tanks or something.
Yeah, there was a tank. It was part of the DLC.
So it might be a bit of a throwback to that, maybe. And I guess there's sort of so much announced. It's hard to really sort of pick up all of it, but it kind of looks like there might be two factions of humans, because I think someone noticed that there was a bloke in white with a symbol on his arm, which wasn't the symbol that other people have. So maybe it's a different faction, or.
Well, I read that there was people that had already gone to the Andromeda beforehand, before you, so you meet up with them.
Oh, so yeah, it might could be
them.
That. But then his or their job is the Pathfinder, and they're the ones that are sort of braving this new frontier and rushing off to sort of set up a home or something. So
I quite like that name, the Pathfinder.
Pathfinder's pretty good, isn't it? So I guess there's still sort of so much to learn. There's still loads more to announce. We are probably looking at the best part of 9 months to go, and it's
if it doesn't get delayed.
Oh yeah, I think they delayed one or two of them before, so
I have to make the decision now whether to get it on PC or on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, that's
So I get my Pro tomorrow, so I'll be able to play either way. I'll be able to play it in 4K.
Yeah, I like console gaming just because it's simple. I can throw the disc in the console, and I know it's going to be the best sort of experience I can get. I don't like when I get a PC game and there's a problem with it, and people say, "Oh, there's this fan-made patch for it," or "Have you tried upgrading your graphics driver despite the fact you're on the newest graphics driver?" Or "This doesn't work with your graphics card. Perhaps you'd like to buy a new one." And I've always.
So I take it by that then you're going to get it on PS4.
Oh yeah,
I guess I will then, so we can multiplayer.
I think it's. I think the multiplayer is just like another extension of the Horde mode from the third one. But it does from well, people have said it sounds pretty good, and I don't know what you can get from that. But yeah, I mean I guess that's Mass Effect 4. Are they going to call it 4?
Looks really nice, really
yeah,
nice.
I think it looks really pretty. The thing I will say about Mass Effect 3 now, playing it on, I mean, it's not that old. I think it's only about sort of 3-4 years old. No, I think it's about 3 years old, and it shows its age. And for a 3-year-old game, it's just like, oh, that's not great. But it just goes to show that this generation is so much more powerful than the last one. Every generation gets sort of much more powerful than the last one, and it's very obvious now. Certainly
pushing
looking
all
at
those pixels.
Yeah, all the finest pixels that we've ever seen will be blistering towards us soon. So yeah, that's I guess that's all there is to. I guess that's all there is for that Mass Effect, unless there's anything you picked up that I probably missed.
I don't think so. I think that was about it from the trailer.
I
need to go. I've only seen it once, so I really need to go through and watch it a couple more times and really pick out all the details in it.
Yeah, I mean, I got an email today about the Andromeda initiative, and I thought, oh, this will be a sign up for alpha or a beta test or something, but I couldn't find anything that would say like, here, join this or do this or.
No, it's just giving you lots of videos and stuff to watch, and then if you watch everything, you'll unlock a helmet in the game.
Oh yeah, I did see that there was unlock this new thing, and I probably will do it, but then I don't know. I'm hoping I won't forget.
I can't wait. It can't come
yeah,
quick enough.
I can't wait. They're always sort of monumentous games. I remember when 2 came out, I don't know if I was between jobs or if I was doing something, and I went into a shop and saw it, and I was like, I'm just buying this. I just spent all the money I had and bought it, and I would play through it, finish the game, and then just start it straight up again. And I did it about 4 times in a row, and now I'm sort of thinking, how on earth did I have the patience and the time for that? But yeah, it just goes to show that they were and still are really good games. The original Mass Effect was great, although I thought it was particularly difficult. The thing that I always found really annoyed me was the micromanaging everyone's armor. It was awful in 1. You'd have to go.
Yeah, all that stuff wasn't great in 1. There was too much in it. I just got confused. That's why I liked 2, because they streamlined it a lot. Some people thought it was a bit too streamlined, but I was just happy I didn't have to worry about it too much.
Yeah, and then you'd pick up a piece of armor and you'd be like, oh, this would be perfect for such and such. I'm like, oh, wrong race, so they can't use it. Which I guess is it's quite immersive, and it was a proper action space RPG. But I think they kind of toned it down to like RPG light, and I think that really suited the series really well.
Well, it was designed as a cover-based shooter, so being a little less RPG, I think helped it.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest news sort of I've seen. I've not really seen an awful lot else.
The other thing what caught my eye this week is GTA 5 is going Tron. So basically, they're just putting in a multiplayer mode for the online game where you have Tron-esque bikes, and they have the lights coming out. So presumably, there's a Tron battle mode that you can do.
Oh, the light cycles are being brought back. God, that
I mean, I
sounds...
love Tron. Tron's fantastic, but I
Yeah.
don't really know whether I want to play it in GTA or not.
Yeah, they have really gone. When GTA 5 first came out and they started the online thing, I played it for a bit and I was just like, this won't last long. And they seem to just be really throwing their all into it, just doing the weirdest things.
I like that. I think that's good. It keeps it interesting.
Oh god, yeah, Rockstar really they've really continued to support it, which is sort of admirable, because you get a lot of companies that will stick in multiplayer that they really only stuck into for, well, just to say they've got it. There's been plenty of games where they really didn't need multiplayer, and fair play to them. They've kept up with it. They've done some weird, amazing things. I really enjoyed the heists.
I haven't even played them.
The heists were really good. There was the first one was probably too easy, but it did ease you into it. And then after that, you really needed sort of a group of people to play together, because they needed a certain amount of teamwork. And you'd find that there'd always be one person who was running around or being a dick. In the lobby for the heists, you had to pick what your role in the heist was going to be. So you could say pilot or driver or shooter or whatever, and you would have sort of different mission parameters, and you'd have different waypoints, and the tooltips that came up to tell you what to do would be different. So if you're a pilot, instead of pointing you towards like the bank or the shop or the whatever it was you're going to rob, it'd send you straight to the airport, and then it'd point you out to your plane, and then you'd fly the plane through rings and all these sorts of things. So that was really clever of them, and definitely, really, really good.
It sounds like it sounds very similar to the single player stuff, but they've really built on what you can actually do with those.
Oh
heists.
god, yeah. The I mean, we got stuck on a particular heist where I think you're trying to break someone out of jail. So and you have to go through all these steps, like you have to steal. No, you have to like buy this prison bus off someone, and then you drive the prison bus to somewhere, and then one of your other teammates has have gone out and stole a prison uniform, so they get on the bus and you drive into the prison, and then you have to break this guy out and shoot all the guards, and while you're doing this, someone else is stealing the helicopter and bringing that over to the prison, and then you all bundle in the helicopter and you've got to fly away from all these jets that are firing rockets at you. And it was really, really good, but insanely difficult. But that's got to be going back about two or 3 years. So no, it has to be about 2.5 years. So yeah, really, I mean, I'm surprised it's still going, and that only promises good things for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh god, yes. Just the ideas of what they could do with the multiplayer and stuff in there.
Oh god, yeah, Cowboys and Indians. That's what everyone wants to play, surely. So
because you'd be able to do bank heists and stuff in that, with, the old Western style. It'd be so cool.
Yeah, 6-shot revolvers and getting on horses and hiding out in canyons, and yeah, it would be good if there was a competitive Cowboys and Indians bit. So you had Indians on one side, Cowboys on the other, and you had to assault like a fort or something. They could basically go balls to the wall with the thing and really make something special. I don't know if Cowboys and Indians is considered racist anymore. I don't know how the Americans would take it.
Cowboys and Native Americans. It
yeah,
doesn't sound
Cowboys
as good.
and
Really
Native Americans. Yeah, and no one gets shot and everyone has ice cream. That's the way the game should be. So yeah, they could do some really spectacular things with it, and I hope they do, because I really enjoyed Grand Theft Auto Online, and I just hope that now I can get more people to buy Red Dead Redemption 2, and then we can all play it. Although, to be fair, I have been playing Red Dead Redemption 1 and I'm not enjoying it at all.
Really?
It's
Such a good game.
It's been a real slog to get through. I find it so tedious, and I don't even know why.
What I thought was amazing about that game is you're in a desert, so there's nothing there, yet they made the whole area feel really interesting to look at. It had lots of character.
Yeah,
and it was fairly varied. You know, when you got up north and you had all the snow and up in Canada area and everything, but it's just I was really shocked at how well they were able to make that environment.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so you've around the McFarlane farm. That's all kind of grassland, and then you go into the desert proper, and you've got all the train tracks and cactuses. It does. I mean, it's stunning. The environment is really nice. I don't like that the horses steer like tanks.
I really don't remember them being that bad.
Oh, they are so bad. I've never been. This might be exactly how horses steer. I've never been on a horse before. I don't know anything about them. But I would like it to be easier because they are stubborn, bloody animals. You're trying to make it go one way, and you've got to like slowly steer it round in a circle, and then you just want him to move, and you've got to keep mashing the A button to get him to go at any speed. And I just hate them so bad.
Maybe it's because I had the war horse. Maybe that was just the better horse. I don't know.
I don't know.
I just don't remember it being that bad.
But yeah, it's I mean, maybe it's not as bad as I'm saying. Maybe I'm just really whining about it. But I don't know. I find it very difficult.
Knowing you,
to play.
probably.
Yeah. Everyone likes a good whine. But yeah, other than that, and I don't know what else to say about sort of Mass Effect and Red Dead Redemption, and Gears of War. I'm losing my train of thought, and it's
well, we're recording on a Wednesday, so it's messing with our chi. That's what it is.
That's it. That is it. But yeah, the final big news, which Nintendo I think are still sort of feverishly denying, is that the Wii U might actually be dead. They might actually have stopped production.
No, they have. They have stopped production. The last ones went last week.
Oh, I see. I read about it. I read about it last week. I think Eurogamer announced it. Said that they would stop producing it, and the ones that were in the distribution line would be the last ones there were. And then Nintendo came out and said, "No, don't know what you're talking about. Just that's not the case at all." But it wouldn't surprise me if the Wii U's.
I'm going on the assumption that it has ended, and that is like it's the final nail in the coffin. Although they haven't even bothered reducing the price or anything before Christmas. Maybe they're just hoping they'll get some more sales and then reduce the price next year.
Oh God, I don't know. I think that there's not even really been a proper price drop for them, has there? I mean, they came out at a fairly low price point, and they've stayed there.
I think it dropped like 50 or 60 quid.
I think the basic one, the one with 8 gig of memory that you need like a 7 gig update for when you plug it in, is. I
think they phased out, didn't they? It carried on being the 32 gig version after that, with the Mario Kart bundle, I believe.
Did they have the SD card slot on them, or was it that you had to have an external hard drive?
There was an SD card slot.
Yeah, I thought there was. So in that sort of case, I mean, SD cards are so cheap nowadays. You could quadruple the storage in there for about 15 quid. But no, I think Black Friday is going to have a particularly strong showing this year
for the Wii U?
For the Wii U. Yeah, I think
probably places getting rid of them.
Yeah, I think the retailers that still have them in stock will heavily discount them just to get them out of the store. To get them out. Might
be a good time for collectors to start getting their sealed versions.
Yeah, I might actually get one.
It depends on the price, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I've resisted, simply because there's not really been anything on them that I was particularly interested in. I don't think there's many games that I've looked at and said, right, this is the reason why I've got to own one. But I mean, there's definitely some fun little games on the machine. There have been some titles that have been reviewed fairly strongly, and maybe it depends really on what I can sort of find for it. I might have a look at the top 10 games, see what people have been saying are the best games for the console, and if they do get heavily discounted, maybe I'll pick one up.
I thought it was an interesting console. They just never really capitalised on the whole two-screen thing, and the third parties went away because they didn't really know what to do with it, and even Nintendo seemed to struggle with what to actually use the second screen for.
Yeah, I think it had trouble justifying its own existence in a way. I think Nintendo burnt a lot of bridges with the Wii. I think they said, "Oh look, we've got this thing." I suppose it was really when the big powerhouses were making consoles, like Nintendo and Sony were making consoles that were really graphically amazing. And then Nintendo brought out this thing and said, hey, we don't need graphics, we'll make fun game experiences, which is, I think that's a fairly standard Nintendo standpoint. And they were like, look, we've got this Wiimote, look how fun it is to use. And everyone was like, wow, this is fun. And they were like, can we put Call of Duty on the thing? And they were like, well, maybe.
You can, it'll be like the 360 version.
Yeah. It'll have no multiplayer, and it'll be like the graphics will be really poor, and no one will buy it. But yeah, feel free. So, yeah, I think a lot of third-party developers, when they were making all these graphically beautiful games, sort of looked at it and thought, well, it can't do what we want, so we won't bother with it. And the same with the, I guess the Wii U. They looked at it and said, wow, it's got a screen. Think of all the things we can do with it, like, I don't know, maps, maybe? Or inventory? Or it never really sort of capitalised the screen use. And I think the one thing that really sort of ruined Nintendo was that you could only have one of those screen controllers connected per console. Like, if I had a Wii U, and I think I should have been able to take my screen to a friend's house and connect my screen to their console, and we could both play with controllers with screens on them. Well, and then you could have had some amazing local multiplayer.
The thing is about that, it did actually support two of those gamepads, but you could never buy a second one unless you went directly to Nintendo, and I think that was only in Japan anyway.
They were expensive as well.
Very expensive.
Most of the price of the console.
And no game ever used two screens anyway, because they couldn't even figure out what to do with one screen. So
yeah,
I got the console when Mario Kart 8 was released. I got the Mario Kart 8 bundle, and that was a really fun game. I really had a lot of fun playing that and go through unlocking all the trophies and whatnot for that. I played through the Super Mario 3D World, which was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely loved that game. Yes, it was 3D, but it was still in a 2D style, and I prefer the Mario 64 style games. But this Super 3D Mario World was a lot of fun. It had a lot of varied levels, and you're always having to do something new as you went along, so it never really got boring. It's the usual Nintendo game design, and I just really enjoyed that. One of the third-party games I enjoyed was the launch title game Zombie U. That used the gamepad really well. You'd have to use that as your inventory, but it was all done in real time, so your character on screen would kneel down and start looking through his rucksack. So you would still see zombies coming after you, and then you'd have to
cool.
Search for all the stuff what you want and combine things and grab your ammo and what weapons you wanted to use on the gamepad screen, and then you'd have to quit out that to then carry on on the main screen, but while that's all going on, you got these zombies attacking you, and it was just it became really, really intense. A lot of fun. They ported that game to the PlayStation and the Xbox, but it doesn't have the same feeling to it because of you don't have that second screen now.
Yeah, I think it came in one of the I think it was a PSN game.
Yeah, it was a PS Plus game a few months ago.
Yeah, and I downloaded it and played it for a couple of hours, and I gave it a real try. But I don't think I was fully invested in it.
No, it was missing that second screen. It really needed it. That's what the whole game was designed around.
Yeah. But no, I thought it was a fairly fun little game. It's a shame it didn't really kind of take off in its own little way.
See, I used it for about 6 months maybe. I played what was it called? The Hyrule Warriors. Well, we played this together, didn't we? That was so much fun. That also used the gamepad pretty well, where you'd have one player on the TV, and then you could do the second player on the gamepad screen. You could both go off on the other side of the map if you wanted to. That was done really well.
I think the problem I had with that Hyrule Warriors game is that you had the normal gameplay with just the screen, and I had the Wiimote, which had the motion controls sort of bolted onto it, so I couldn't just press the buttons or hold it on its side like you could with some of the classic games.
To be fair, if we had an actual controller, we could have used that instead. But
yeah,
that is one of the issues with the Wii U, is the fact that they had to keep all the Wii controller aspects to it as well. So games had to be able to use all of the different control schemes. So it made it a lot. All I can think about is testing those games.
Yeah. So yeah, I suppose I don't know. I suppose was it a game that was too sort of innovative before its time? Would it have been better if it was released earlier? Would it always have been doomed? Is it because it was called the Wii U and people have argued that buyers considered it an add-on to the Wii, so if they'd have to buy a Wii before they bought a Wii U? I mean, personally, I've never thought that. I've never heard of anyone who would have thought that. But people seem to hold this common belief that because it was called the Wii U, people thought it was just an add-on for the original Wii, and I don't buy that. I don't think that's...
I do, because people like us, we look at the internet, we find out what everything is and scoop up every little bit of information, so we know everything going in. The average Joe public, the way Nintendo showed it off, in their original E3 showing, they didn't even show the actual console. All they ever showed was the pad. There was one glimpse of the of the console in the background, and it just looked like the Wii anyway. So with that kind of messaging, when I first saw that, I was like, is this an add-on or is it actually a console? And then later on I realised it was actually, part of the console. But at first I was confused as well. I just remember for the entire 10-minute video, I'm just going, it can't be. It's got to be a new console. How are they can't be streaming better graphics to the Wii. It never made any sense to me. And logic prevailed through my mind, going, obviously there's another this is a brand new console, not an add-on. But that the messaging was terrible. And then the way they advertised it, just people like, well, Wii U, what the hell does that mean? I've already got a Wii. I play my Wii Sports. So that was confusing. It should have been called something else. I can understand why they were keeping the name Wii, because they'd sold 101 million consoles. Everybody knows the Wii. So if you keep that brand, like Xbox or PlayStation, everyone knows it. I understand that. But if you come out with something that's completely different, you need to re-educate everybody on that name. I understand that, but it was just really, really confusing. And then the fact that you could use all the old peripherals, from the old console as well. So everyone's like, well, why do I need to do that? Why won't it just work with mine? And then you've got people that had grown up and wanted an Xbox and the PlayStation to play the Call of Duties and the FIFAs and whatnot. It was just really confusing. And everyone had gone to mobiles because now they were picking up Steam and people could play the same kind of shovelware gameplay they were playing on the Wii on their phones. It's like, well, I don't need the Wii anymore. Do it on a TV. I can do it on the bus, you know?
Yeah. Oh, but this time it was free rather than paying like 30 quid for the privilege of paying
that as well.
Playing like a flash game on a disc. Yeah, I mean the Wii. I think it's fairly well known fact that the Wii really only sold well because it had Wii Sports bundled, and grandparents loved it for their grandkids because it was cheap and a way to entertain people. And older
it was
people
fun and easy to get. That was the thing.
People found it quite accessible to play. There wasn't huge long button combinations. There wasn't an awful lot of setup. You just plugged it in the TV, stuck the disc in, and you were away. I think that Wii Fit did really well as well. I mean, for a long time that was out of stock. I remember for the first time seeing it out in a shop. It was about 2 months after release, and I walked into a HMV and they had 3 left. And they were about 80 quid, which was the cost of the console, basically. And yeah, they were saying they couldn't keep them on the shelves, and it was really only the balance board was really only for that one game. Sure, a couple of games had like mini games. There was a Raving Rabbids game where you could sit on it, and I think you slid down a hill, and you shifted your weight to steer. That was just really weird. Rabbit. Yeah, It was another one of these shoehorning a peripheral in. It wouldn't have sold on that merit, but they could say, hey, if you have a balance board, maybe you'd like to do this with it, or just hold the pad in a different way like you have been doing for the whole game.
There was a snowboarding game as well, which he did the same. I think it was Sean White's snowboarding. I think that was the game. God. It was actually pretty good, but it was just weird using the balance board to do it.
Yeah, balance board to do anything. Again, it's just sort of shoehorning peripherals in. It's like Sega saying, "Hey, if you have a Dreamcast fishing rod, perhaps you'd like to play fishing in Dead or Alive." You wouldn't go and buy Dead or Alive for the fishing mini game just because you've got the peripheral, but it's a nice thing to add in. So yeah, I think I don't know. I think the Wii U was. I think it was a bad idea too far. I think they if they'd have just stuck with one thing, they might have made it. Maybe if they'd have just made it as a screen controller pad thing for the Wii. I understand that they needed to upgrade the graphics, so that was probably
it was
why
just a GameCube in there.
Yeah, that was probably why they moved away from the Wii U to these new high def HDMI graphics that people had for several years before this. But yeah, I guess there was sort of a lot of bumps along that road, and I mean, to be fair, they've had the 3DS, which practically shits money, so there will be no danger there.
So, are you going to get a Switch?
I am very tempted by a Switch, but I have been burnt before by these sort of mobile, like handheld consoles, because I bought a DS and bought about 4 games for it, so that was a pretty big waste of money. I bought a PSP and bought about 4 games for it, so that was a waste of money. Very much the same with the 3DS and the Vita. So, I mean, I always look at these consoles and be like, wow, look how good they look how great the games are. I'll buy all these games and I can play them wherever I go. And then I buy it and never buy any games because the games cost the same price as a PS4 game and I can play them at home. But I think the thing that appeals to me for the Switch is the one thing that I always have been saying for years, which is I don't see why I have to pay full price for a cut down handheld game. Why can't I pay full price for a full price game that I can play on my handheld and at home. So I guess that ticks all the boxes for me. I could have this console, and I can play proper home console games on the go, and plug it into my TV and play proper home console games on my TV. And that new Zelda game looks spectacular.
It looks so good.
And I'm hoping for... I'm hoping they'll do a new Metroid game. I'm hoping that silly Metroid Force thing is just a stopgap to make sure people haven't forgot about Metroid.
I think you're going to get a Metroid. You're going to get a new Super Mario Brothers. You're going to get a Mario game. You're going to get Smash Brothers. You're going to get Mario Kart. I'm really hoping they'll do an F-Zero though.
Oh, I don't know about F-Zero. I don't know if they've given up with it. I know Konami's given up with Castlevania, which is a shame because the Castlevania series has always been spectacular. But yeah, I did read somewhere that they are holding back a generation of Amiibo, and they will release them when the Switch comes out, because they're remaking the last Smash Brothers for the Switch.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, we might find... What was the last one? Was it... No, it wasn't Melee.
No.
Super Smash Brothers Brawl. Was it
Brawl?
Brawl?
Is it Brawl? Or was that... Oh, I can't remember.
It might be Brawl. But yeah, I hear that's going to make it, which I would not be shocked if they did, because Smash Brothers Brawl has a very strong online presence still, from what I can gather.
I'm really hoping that we get a Mario Kart 8 port or a new Mario Kart. That I'll be fine with that as well. I want the Smash Brothers port. I'd really like Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2 port as well, because I never actually played them on the Wii. And they were meant to be fantastic.
Yeah, I played a bit of the first one, and seemed to remember really enjoying it. But it was, I think the issue I found was that the planets, the level. I guess it was not like a full level, but the planets were fairly small, and Mario was fairly big. So you just sort of like zip around this planet several times, and I could never really fully understand what was supposed to be going on. But no, they got globally well received. So whether or not we'll get ports, I want to say that Nintendo don't traditionally kind of just remake or report their old Marios. But to be fair, they've brought out new Super Mario Brothers, new Super Mario Brothers Wii, new Super Luigi Brothers Wii.
Yeah, technically not ports, but they're still the same thing.
Oh, God, it's the same bloody game with Mario World sprites. I'm so sick of the silly 2.5D Mario games. Just give us a new Mario game. Just give us a new Mario World. Just remake Mario World. Sod it. I'd be happy with that. I loved Mario World. So I guess there's I don't know. There's probably a long road ahead for Nintendo. I'm hoping that the Switch will be like a big thing for them. From what I understand, it's not replacing the 3DS market, although they have said in the past that they'll release a console and say, I think when they released the DS, they said no, we're not gonna replace the GBA with it. Look, it's even got a GBA cart slot, so it can play GBA games. And then after about 2 months, they're like, yeah, we're stopping the GBA now.
And they also brought out the GBA Micro as well.
Yeah.
Which was almost the same. It was like £70, and the DS was like £120 or £130 at the time.
They were expensive. They didn't sell particularly well, which is why they cost a fortune now.
I don't know if I ever told you this story, but when the week that they came out, the Game Boy Micros, I was out shopping in town, and this was back when Game Station was still around, and they had one in there, and it was $69.99, and I was just saying to our friend Rob, who I was with at the time, I was just like, oh, it's just so pointless. I don't get why they're doing. They look cool, I'm not saying I wouldn't want one. It's just I don't see the point, because you could just buy a Game Boy Advance for like 20 quid, or you could just pay an extra like £40 and get a DS, which can play the games anyway. It's backwards compatible. It's just I didn't see the point, other than them looking like really cool. So later that day, I'd gone to the cinema, and they had one of those machines where you have to stop the lights at certain points, and this one was in a lighthouse. So you'd have to you had these certain numbers and this arrow that was going around, and you had to time it to hit the right number to get yourself to go up the lighthouse. So you'd have like -2, 1, 3. So they would give you the different levels, and there was 4 different levels, and it was left. Someone had been playing it before, and it was left on level 2. So all I needed to hit was a 2 to actually win. I managed to hit 3, so I got all the way to the top, and then I could pick my prize. And obviously there was a Game Boy Micro there, so I picked that. Or I did it in the first go, and it cost me 50p.
God,
I still got it now. Love it.
That's probably worth quite a lot of money. I've seen them go for substantial amounts. Even really battered. I think the pink one was sort of the most popular, and I've seen those go for, sort of 40-50 quid, really battered with no charger on, because they didn't take batteries. You had to have the charger for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I guess Nintendo do. Well, they've been fairly infamous for it, really, haven't they? They had the Game Boy, and then they had the Play It Loud series, where you get a yellow one or a red one or a clear one, or all these other sort of strange colours, which we really didn't need to, because it's the same machine in a different colour. And then they had the Pocket, which was a Game Boy but slightly smaller, and then they had the Pocket Lite, which only came out in Japan, which had a backlit screen. And then with the colours, they pretty much only made one version of Game Boy Color. And then it went mad with the GBA and the GBA SP and the SP2, which had the brighter screen, and the Micro and all these sorts of things. And the 3D, the DS was the DS and the DS Lite, and now the 3DS is... No, the DS was the DS, the DS Lite, the DSi, the DSi XL, and then the 3DS was the 3DS and the 3DS XL, then the new 3DS XL, and then the 2DS, and they go a bit mad for hardware revisions.
And people kept buying them. That's the crazy thing.
Oh god, yeah, people who are into Nintendo are into Nintendo in a big way, and that's something that I don't really get. I've never really had that sort of brand loyalty.
Me neither. I've just always been just gaming, anything gaming.
Yeah. I sort of think if I've got a DS, I've got a DS Lite that I still sort of play. And I thought, well, I've got a DS Lite. Why do I need an XL? And I've got a 3DS XL because I bought one when they came out, and I've not been like, wow, I need a new 3DS XL, or. And then there's the people that will buy every colour of the consoles that are absolutely insane.
I was just looking on eBay at my Micro one, 115 quid.
Jesus.
And I got mine for 50p.
Yeah, you did well out of your 50p.
I did, yeah. I'd love to remember what movie I actually watched at the cinema as well. I can't remember now. It was overshadowed by that.
Yeah, it really didn't matter which film it was. You were not paying attention in that cinema. Oh God, so I mean, we've discussed a lot about Nintendo and a little bit about the Wii U. I guess the only other thing to say is that the third parties have sort of come back with the Switch. I guess they've seen something that we don't know, so
yeah, they're just going to put the support and then see what happens.
Yeah, here's hoping that the Switch does well for them, because
I hope so.
I would never turn around.
I don't want Nintendo to go away.
No, I would never turn around, even for a company that I wasn't particularly fond of, and say, right, I hate this company. I want them to go down, because they still make good games. They still make enjoyable games, and as this, it can only be a good thing having more enjoyable games to play. So right, I think that's as much as I can talk about without going around in circles. To be honest, unless there's anything you can add.
Nah, I'm just probably going to get it on launch day though.
Maybe, I don't know. I want to get it on launch day because I think it'll be amazing. I also want to give it a couple of days or wait until that launch window's closed, so all of the good games are out, so I can rush out and buy the console and a couple of good games. I also don't know if it's worth waiting for the special edition after 6 months, because there will be a special edition that they've painted a funny colour.
Oh, definitely. Did you see the mock-ups that Kotaku did? Some of them look really cool. They had a classic NES version. I would love that. That'd be so cool.
Oh, now we just need the Chinese companies to start churning out new faceplates and things for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the big announcement is sort of March. No, March is the release. I think January, sometime early January.
Yeah, I think 12th or the 13th of January, the proper unveiling of it is.
Yeah, and I'll look forward to that. Hopefully we'll get some decent gameplay. Hopefully we'll hear more about these third parties that are joining on. Hopefully we'll get to see some games, and we'll get to know what it's launched with. Oddly enough, I was listening to a podcast about the launch of I think it was the Super Nintendo, and there was only about 2 or 3 games released for it when it first came out.
Well, yeah, back then consoles didn't really launch with a lot of games. It's only like the past 20 years where they've you need like 20 odd games or something on launch day.
I think when the 360 was released, I think that came out with about sort of 10 odd games.
That was also the first worldwide release console as well.
Really good console. Really fond memories of the 360. And maybe we should do a 360 retrospective.
I think so.
I think we should.
Microsoft retrospective, I think, on the 3 consoles.
Oh God, yeah. Okay, we'll pencil that in for some time. But no, I think other than that, the only thing I can say is that I've been playing the free PSN game Tower of Monsters. Really good. I would recommend it. It's a proper B-movie game. It is a little bit sort of it sort of has shades of Stanley Parable, and what was that game that, oh Christ, it began Bastion, began with a B. So as you are doing things, you've got this director sort of narrating what was going on in the film, because he's doing the voiceover for the special edition DVD that you're playing and he's watching. So it's really clever, and yeah, pretty good.
Well, tomorrow when I get my PlayStation, I'll finally be able to play some of these games.
Yeah.
I haven't had the PlayStation for a month.
Oh God, what have you done with your time? So I'm not even sure I want to know.
Basically, all I've been doing is catching up, and now finally finished Stargate Atlantis.
Yeah.
I'm quite sad that it finished. It's like I knew it was only 5 seasons, but after season 1, it really gets into its own, and you're interested in the characters, and there's some good story episodes in there. I mean, there's a few filler episodes as well, but like there is in every TV show. But really, really enjoyed it. It's not as good as the original Stargate, and I think I still slightly enjoyed Universe a bit more than Atlantis, but it was really good. Also, did you watch Firefly?
I didn't watch Firefly. It's a shame that I carry with me through my day-to-day life. I've watched the first 5 or 6 like 2 or 3 times, and I always forgot where I got, and then just restart again. Because
they have the engineer from Firefly. I don't know her actual name, but she was called Kaylee in that, and in Atlantis she's called Keller, as Jess Keller, and she's just so hot. I absolutely love her. She's absolutely adorable.
So there you go.
She needs to be in more things. She needs to be in more things.
There you go. Actress who plays Keller. You know who's a call. If you like English bold geeks. So yeah, I think
fantastic beards. Don't forget.
Fantastic. Sorry, I missed out the fantastic. Only because I have major beard envy, because I cannot grow. I cannot grow a beard. Anything. If it goes past sort of like 5 o'clock shadow, it quickly becomes like bad teenage mustache. So I have to really keep on top of my bad facial hair.
The only game I've been playing is been on my lunch breaks at work is the Batman Blackgate game. It's okay still. I'm just over halfway through. The boss battles aren't great.
I remember the QTE heavy boss battles.
Yeah, they're just. But yeah, this story wise is pretty good. It got these really cool comic style animated cutscenes, and they're really well done. It's worth a play if you can get it for like £2 or something.
Yeah, I think it's relatively cheap now. I think even the last Batman game has quickly come down in price, even on the consoles. Although saying that, it's been well over a year old now. So,
yeah.
They should be fairly cheap. I actually might buy it now. Although saying that, Final Fantasy in a matter of weeks, so yeah, maybe not. Right, so I think that's really probably time for us to sign off. So I am Pondis. I am around on Facebook as Pondis Plays and Twitter as Pondis Plays, and I try and avoid YouTube where possible, although we are on YouTube as Nothing to Play if you want to find us there, and Stitcher and SoundCloud as Nothing to Play as well.
Hopefully we'll go on iTunes next week.
Yeah, very soon to be on iTunes. I keep trying to get us on Pocket Cast, but for whatever reason it never works. On the off chance that anyone from Pocket Cast is listening, please list our podcast. It's not that bad. Where can we find you, Kingy?
Well, on YouTube you can find me at Bold Bearded Gamer. On Instagram I'm also Bold Bearded Gamer. And on Twitter, I am Ivan_Zar, which is spelt ZARR. And
yeah, if you look on the YouTube video or the SoundCloud, you'll see sort of several links to things we've been talking about, including the guy who does the intro and outro. He's amazing. Go and find his stuff. And hopefully I will manage to figure out why the SoundCloud one just drops it in as one big block of text. So hopefully this one will be a little better formatted. So until next time, keep on playing.
Catch you later.